Welcome to Frankly Speaking Hurricanes Football with your host, Frank Mazdu. Well, I want to welcome Dr. Ray, for joining us today, and everybody in the Canes family for watching our videos. And I want you to hit the like button, subscribe, and share, and hit the alert button for any upcoming videos. We're really excited today to talk about the offensive line coach and to talk about all the commitments that we received on commitment day and to evaluate them. So with that, I want to go ahead and kick it off with Ray. I want to get your thoughts on what you think. How do you think signing day went? What do you think? What do you think about the commitments and the class overall, jumping up to 14 or 15, depending on which ranking you're looking at? Share those thoughts with me and share with the audience what you think about that class.
I think it was surprisingly efficient, effective class. Obviously, we only had 14 signees, but we had some kids in the portal. How could you not love the way the class finished in terms of momentum? We finished, I think, 14th or 15th, considering the association that you look at. But I think it's, like I said last cast, it's nothing short of miraculous what Mario's done and the way he's doing it, even with the coaches that he's going after and getting. The class finished up so nice, and we have some real big time players, especially on the defensive line. I really believe that we're going to be having these young guys making difference right away. And when you get to the point where you don't have to rely on your freshmen to be a winning program is really when you turn the corner, like in Alabama, like at Georgia. But it's always nice to have those kids come in that they're going to get PT, like a Leonard Taylor type of player. He should be a real force to be reckoned with this year. I really am very happy. And all of my colleagues, peers, friends who are big time guys and girls, they really are excited about what Mario's doing and the way he finished up with this class. He really went out and secured the big ones that we needed to get. Obviously, Shamar was a close miss, and I think you could tell in his press conference that he was a bit torn. So, listen, I really believe that we are setting he is setting the pace for recruiting in the future and throughout South Florida. And I've heard some more stories recently this past week about the things he's done. One of the things was, and I'm only saying this from third party, is that Jimbo Fisher was recruiting somewhere in Miami during the time that that coach was here for a very short stint with Al Golden. And they were at a high school, and the high school coach said that Jimbo's coming down to see one of our kids or two of our kids later the same day. He told that coach to get on the phone with Jimbo and tell him not to come down until we're gone, or not to come down the same day that we're at this school. And I guess he put a line in the sand, and I'm not sure if it was executed like that, but apparently apparently Al Golden's jaw dropped, who, by the way, just got named defensive coordinator at Notre Dame.
Yeah. That's hilarious, man.
What do you think about that, Frank? What do you think about that, Shortly? What do you think about that?
I think he is the consummate competitor, and I don't think he's going to leave any rock unturned when he's recruiting. And the thing that I wanted to also ask you about, because I'm really curious to your thoughts, quite honestly, with all the experience you've had in football and training and everything else, I'm going to ask you, when or have you ever heard of a coach coming in a 4-week period and taking a class that was ranked in the late 50s, let's say 55, 58, maybe even 60. Okay. And in the matter of 4 weeks or 5 weeks, turning it into the class that Mario turned it into with 3 recruiters. I mean, I just want to kind of put that in perspective, and I want to go ahead and frame that, because as we go evaluate the class, and we'll do that next, and I want to get your thoughts on each individual player. But I wanted to get your thoughts overall, because you've been, like me, we've been fans for 30 years, 40 years. Forget the forget University of Miami. Where have you seen any coach in the NCAA, in college football, anywhere, come in with a class ranked 58 and bring it up to 15 or 14? You can debate it, whatever. But I need to hear your thoughts on that, Ray.
I've been following college football and recruiting very strongly for a long time, and I haven't really seen this kind of jump before. Obviously, there's been some dominating classes, but I believe Mario's transition class, this is a transition class because it's in between head coaches. I think this might be the highest ranked transition class with less than 15 recruits ever. Yeah, I believe that to be the case. I was informed of that, and some of my colleagues that do research in recruiting, and some people that analyze the recruiting at University of Miami like it's their job. In fact, sometimes it is their job. They have told me that this is the highest ranked transitional class with 15 or fewer recruits ever. And it's the third highest rated class with 15 recruits or less, behind Stanford and USC. From 2013 USC and 2017 Stanford class. So that gives you an idea of the rarefied air that Mario has put himself in right away, year one, not even 2 months in. And he's got a top 3 ranked 15 or fewer class all time. And he has the #1 transition class, 15 or fewer all time. That's a big statement. And so imagine when he has a full cycle. Imagine what he does with 2 full cycles. And we just got news that Roland Smith's going to take a position. Former coach now from Central, who you know is a perennial national powerhouse and a very well-respected local guy with roots in the community. He's coming in as apparently in a position where he will still be able to recruit Central, because if you're one of the 10 on-field coaches, you can't. If you're the director of recruiting, you cannot go ahead and directly recruit a high school that you just came from as a coach or head coach. But they're going to put him hopefully in a position where he's not going to be one of the 10 and he's not going to be director of recruiting, and he'll be able to still recruit Central. And what a force he's going to be locally in Miami. And they probably will groom him for a coaching position down the line. And why not? He's had tremendous success. He knows how to evaluate South Dade talent, which is Mario's goal, is to put a fence around, the Tri-County area and try to do it securely. And Roland Smith is a guy coming in that he's going to really contribute to that fence and building that wall, so to speak, with the inroads he has. And think about all the other coaches in the area that respect Roland Smith's program and the integrity that he brings and the talent evaluation. And he'll be able to tell exactly who should be coming here and who shouldn't. So I'm very excited about that. And Mario adding these coaches, with Gaddis, Kevin Steele, we're getting premier coordinators. We're going to have more analysts coming in for sure. There's going to be more analysts named. So the staff is shaping up nicely. The recruiting class couldn't have finished better. Maybe if we got Shamar, maybe if we had 1 or 2 more, Luli would have been a nice addition on the offensive line. But I believe that Coach Mirabal, if you want to segue to him, is going to be it's going to be a great coach here.
Let me go ahead and share the screen here. So let's get started with this.
It's National Signing Day here at the University of Miami. Don Bailey with head coach Mario Cristobal. And coach, go down this list. Pretty impressive day. I mean, very impressive. Let's start with Ahmad Moten, D lineman, local guy. Like those big 3 techniques.
Those guys are hard to find, and they're hard to find locally, right?
He's an explosive kid, this kid.
Yeah. Many large human beings playing at the line of scrimmage in South Florida, but more and more as the years go by, due to the elimination of the weight classes, mind you, in the youth leagues, has promoted more big guys to play football. So, Ahmad, he's all of 6'3", and
work on his pad level a little bit.
It's
going to be really good.
Gravity, because he's more in the 320-pound range, and he is a really explosive, hard-nosed, tough.
So Ray, give me your take on Ahmad. You were mentioning that, he is explosive. He's kind of squatty, right? Like about 6'2", 6'3", 340, 330, something like that.
Yeah, 320 or 330, Mario said. And I was just mentioning his pad level. I noticed that, I'm no D-line guru at this point, but I can tell you that D-line coaches look for D tackles to have good pad level and relentless motors and quick feet and to be agile. And I think the defensive line across the board in college football has gotten a lot more athletic, more so than being a big, huge space-eating guy. Yes, of course, we've seen guys at Bama and Georgia. Number 99 from Georgia this past year was a mountain of a man and very tough to move, and that helped out the other side of the DL. So yes, size does matter, but this kid's got it, and he looks like he's explosive. He can get his pad level to where it needs to be. I think he can be a contributor probably sophomore year, big time. He's got some horses in front of him that he's going to have to beat out, but anything goes. When they put the pads on come spring ball, we're going to find out who can hit and who wants to, not hit, and who wants to tackle, and who wants to get guys to the ground. And Coach Mirabal said for the offensive line, he'd rather just have his arm burned off than have the offensive line be the weak link of the team. I'm buying into it. I'm buying into the mantra. With the strength and conditioning staff that we have now in place, the number of coaches we have in the strength and conditioning arena, we're going to be tough to beat in the fourth quarter with the combination of talent, speed, size, and conditioning. And they've already said there's been numerous anecdotal contributions on social media and some private hurricane websites that have stated that these strength and conditioning drills they've had so far are way different than anything they've had in the past. They just have described the coaches know exactly what to do. Everything has a purpose. It's a way different energy than past regimes here at University of Miami. So I think that if that's accurate and it's not just made up, I don't see why it would be, that we have a different chemistry, a different mantra, a different character of the team, probably closer knit, as Mario has alluded to. And so, I'm looking for us to become a bunch of killers. I mean, like literally on the field, just, nothing gets in your way. You're going to just take the man in front of you and push him around all day, let him know off the first, second play what he's going to be dealing with, and bring back that Miami swagger that really was effective in the 80s and 90s and into the early parts of the 2000s, where teams were scared to play Miami at some. They were obviously the big X on the schedule and the bullseye, and we walked in with some intimidation factor. I remember one specific game at the Carrier Dome when we had a trio of linebackers. You might know a couple of them. Jesse Armstead, Michael Barrow, Ray Lewis, and Syracuse had some talented teams back then. And this was just a suffocation game for Syracuse at the time. And I just remember that's really when I said to myself, I got to go there and coach if I get the chance. And I just fell in love with Miami football at that time. And I think it's going to come back. If there's a guy to do it, it's Mario, and he's already said all the right things and he's doing all the right things so far. And he's hiring great coaches and he's securing recruiting classes and making huge jumps. And people know he's not playing around. And I think, Frank, that the state of Florida has been alerted to the presence of the return of what Miami could be now that we have the resources that are coming in to the program. So,
oh yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Let's see who else we got.
Brother, I told him we're recruiting you independently of your brother. He has nothing to do with your recruitment, but awesome family and a guy that really wants to put his.
You see right there, like if I'm going to be critical at all, Frank, like he immediately kind of stood up.
His shoulder pad level, like you were saying, it was way too high.
They're not going to let him do that. I mean, the defensive line coach is going to make sure that he plays with a much lower pad level and gets upfield rather than stand up and just be bigger than everybody else. Because at the D1 level, that's why D tackle probably is the hardest position to come in and play right away, because, and this is something that's been known, it's just one of the toughest, if not the toughest position to come in and play because of the toll it takes on a high school kid's body, high school senior. Guys like Leonard Taylor, he's going to come in and play. He's had the body. This kid's big too. Mm-hmm. I think Leonard, a couple notches up ahead of him at his time when he was a freshman, then Ahmad will be next year. But like I said, anything goes when the pads come on and the sparks fly. We'll see pressure.
And once they, like you said, Ray, once they work on his technique and they switch it up and teach him and coach him up, he may be an early contributor. I mean, in and out of the lineup, as a backup, he may see a lot of action. I wouldn't. So the defense.
I was going to ask you the defensive line depth. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got Harrison Hunt, Taylor, and Jordan Miller is kind of like the top three, and then we have a couple guys coming in from the portal. And we have obviously Ahmad, and there's a couple other guys that are probably going to be at the mix, but we're probably going to be like a 5-deep defensive line rotation at tackle / nose guard, because we're going to be a 4-3. So I doubt they're going to have a nose guard very up. They'll have 2 DTs and 2 DNs with 3 linebackers. So is the striker position gone, you think?
I think so. I don't know. It's gone. Yeah, I think it's gone. Yeah.
Because also Steele runs, obviously a 4-3. So it's probably going to be like a Tampa 2 Miami old defense, 2 high safeties and press coverage on the outside, depending on who's in the slot. I like our linebackers' speed this coming season, where we have some inexperience, maybe some size issues at linebacker. Keontra Smith is a very fast linebacker. Christian Smith is going to be a guy who's going to come in and from that striker position and play probably outside, a weak side linebacker, trunk side linebacker. And then in the middle, if we have somebody who can cover some ground, we won't get tight end across the middle to death as what has been done to us when we play Big Ten teams, especially. I think Wisconsin's tight end is still running at this time. And we don't want that to happen.
Oh my God, please, you're bringing me nightmares from that.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen again. So, but Coach Mirabal on the offensive line, I think he's an assassin. I think he knows what needs to be done, and his kids are going to be playing very strong for him. And, I really just, again, Frank, the coaching staff here has had me turn and just say to myself, this could be the staff we've been waiting for. We kind of had battered fan syndrome for the last 12 to 15 years or more, actually. So I think it's time for a change. I did finish up my season tickets with the help from with a friend. We had a great deal on visitor side, about 35-yard line, about 10 rows up, 9 rows up. So we're very excited to have 6 seats, and we'll be at every game.
Fantastic.
You get a chance to go to much games, by the way?
Yeah, I've got season tickets too. So I'll be seeing you. I'm on the Kane side, a little further up, but for sure, we'll definitely get together. And
we'll have to do some live.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some
live streaming.
Absolutely, man. But this is really exciting. Let's go on to see who else he's got here. So Mo is a character.
I can tell the years by word.
Okay, here we go. Now, this is the cat that you and I talked about in the last video, Citizen, who is just incredible. So I'm going to go ahead. We talked about him. I'm going to move him along.
Sure. Yeah, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a great problem.
Everybody.
Hurricane social media posted perished on their Instagram account, and he looks like he's means serious business.
Well, he averaged, I believe, over 5 yards a carry, like 5.4 in the SEC. Now that's no easy feat. So
it's no easy feat.
Yep. So let's see here. All right, let's go back right here.
He's working at it, and so his footage came in, and it looked like a polar bear out there just slapping people. He's a really unique talent and an awesome young man, 6'6" plus.
Okay, this is that offensive lineman, Ray. The kid out of Alabama, the 6'6", 300 and change, 330. That he could play either defensive line or offensive line, and he's coming into play. They're going to use him on the defense once in a while, but he's coming into play offensive guard, and he is a monster. I think it's number 73 here, but I wanted to get your evaluation because this guy's got, in my opinion, tremendous upside and potential. So let me play it so you can get a look.
Yeah,
we weighed him. I think it was 358, 360 in that range, but so light on his feet, so much power. I mean, just big, powerful, balance, body control, light on his feet, heavy-handed, plays both defense and offense, and then music to my ears, and just deaf to the defensive line coaches when I asked him, Nez, call him Big Bell.
Nez Cooper, yep. 6'6", 6'5", 340 out of Pleasant Grove.
What do you want to play? And he says, right guard. I said, I'm very happy, but that D-line coach is going to be real happy. So he's a guy that situates to play some defense.
All right, Coach. Then you picked up another offensive lineman, right, from Creekside in Jacksonville. That's right.
McLeod.
Matthew Mccoy,
McCoy, sorry.
You recruit a tackle. What do you want? You want power forwards, right? You want 6'5", 6'6". You want long, rangy guys that can bend and twist, get out of really good body positions, can recover, run a defensive end, buy a quarterback, put a foot in the ground, anchor, and take on a bull rush. That's what Matthew is. Matthew McCoy is at 292 pounds, and you put him lean, long, athletic as can be, just really growing, just starting to get a feel for what he can be as a football player. And one thing, Coach Kehoe used to tell us all the time when he's watching the film, the guy's never on the ground. Right?
So what are your thoughts about these two offensive linemen?
Well, they have Inez Cooper listed as OG offensive guard. So instead of just having a basic OT or OL, he's definitely a guard. Looks like, I'll say it, Larry Allen mold, 6'5", 340.
Yes.
He won't be as strong as Larry Allen, but, McCoy is 6'6", 280. Looks like the same kind of developing tackle that Zion Nelson was when he came in, and look where Zion is now. He has to be the best returning offensive tackle in the ACC, or at least one of. There was talk of him being a first-round draft pick, so they can develop him, McCoy, into something like that, some semblance like that. It's going to be great depth for us for years to come. But Cooper's, he's probably going to come in and vie for playing time right away. Ja'Kai Clark's going to be center. Donaldson.
Riverson will be, Donaldson's gone.
Yeah, I was going to say Donaldson's gone. And
Rivers is taking Jalen Rivers is going to take his spot.
Jalen Rivers. Yeah, I think Scaife going to play right guard. Can Ines Cooper beat out Scaife? I don't know. Scaife was honorable mention all ACC. So there's some depth. We have some depth now, and we have some big kids coming in, and I'm very excited about the offensive line. Very excited.
Let's see what we have here.
Be part of it.
Yeah, there's some, you know.
So we'll go to the next one. Here we go.
They were end up being later signings in the first signing period. And, you know, Jaleel, they're both here right now. They're both training. So we got to take care of them out there running around. My oh my.
Okay, now this could be I don't want to say a sleeper. You had mentioned him, Raymond,
yes,
tight end, Skinner. This could be the top player as far as immediate impact, being able to get on the field immediately.
Is that him at the top of the screen?
Look
how big he is.
Top of the screen. I'm going to play it real quick, but this, to your point, you had been bragging about this guy for quite some time. This guy is, I mean, just looking at him in the picture, this guy's massive at 6'6".
I think he's going to come in and make a difference right away. Let me look at the kid run.
That's what I know Miami look like.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Really explosive.
Look at the size of him. I mean, he was an Alabama commit, and we flipped him. So this is my favorite recruit in the class, especially considering that he's going to play. He'll probably play, even though we have two really good tight ends, Arroyo and Will Mallory in front of him. He's going to come in and he's going to see a lot of playing time, Frank. I'm telling you, they're not going to let this kid come in and not play.
I'll bet you a steak dinner that by game 6, he's got more receptions than either one of the other two tight ends.
I wouldn't argue against you.
Yeah, because I'm looking at him, and you're not kidding. The guy, he's not just 6'6", but he's stocky. He's filled out. You know, he's got some power. He's not a 180-pound, 6'6" guy.
No, not at all. What do you think of Cyrus Moss, Frank?
Oh man, Cyrus Moss is going to be incredible.
Potential. Well, wait till we see Nigel E. Kelly too. Nigel E. Kelly's going to be. Ray,
let me ask you. Do you think? I think Nigel E. Kelly is going to be an early contributor as well. Moss may take a little time and situational because of his weight at 220. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, Nigel Eek is in our top 4 automatically. He probably could surpass Jordan Miller depending on. Actually, I'm sorry. He's going to be an edge. He's going to be an edge player. Yeah. We don't really have, the guy on the edge. We have this guy coming in from USC, who's a former South Florida player, who I heard is a beast. He's a beast. And we have Jafari Harvey, who played a lot for us last year. I don't see why Nigel Lee can't come in and get, 15 snaps a game. 15 snaps a game for a true freshman, or maybe 20.
Yes, I agree.
Cyrus Moss, he needs to develop his body just a little bit. He needs to get a little bigger, a little more size. He probably is a super fast, twitchy guy that's going to give offensive tackles problems. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also heard that there's speculation, again, this is just speculation, that maybe they move Williams from the safety position down into the linebacker, one of the linebacker positions at 6'5", 6'6", and his frame at 220 or 230. That would be impressive. I mean, he's got the skills. He's got he's twitchy. He's fast. He could be a tremendous linebacker if he chose to make that move. So let's see. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's been talk of that. And all I know is that I'm confident that Kevin Steele and Mario are going to put the best players on the field, regardless of what position that may be. And I don't see how you keep James Williams off the field. I have been told that Markeith Williams is going to come in and is going to shock people with how good he is. So Markeith Williams is another guy that's maybe he takes James Williams' spot, and James comes down and plays linebacker on certain downs, maybe on a third down. James can come in and be, even a middle linebacker or a strong side linebacker with his size and his range. Can you imagine having somebody that can replace a James Williams? Wow. And then in the backfield, and then you have Kinchins, the other safety. Then you bring James Williams down into a linebacker position on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. You got Keontra Smith, and that's a lot of speed on the field and a lot of range.
Yes.
So
and then on top of that, you've also got Avonte Williams, who was playing fantastic, lights out. After he had been, he was playing safety at another level. As a matter of fact, him and Kitchens could be considered the 2 best safeties that we have. Williams got a lot of talent and upside, but I think that, to your point, I think that now you've got the flexibility. Can you imagine putting Williams on a tight end? He's 6'6", 230 pounds. Now you've got, as a linebacker or as a safety, moving them in. But I'm excited about that backfield. I think
Can you
they've got
imagine
lots
him
to work with.
and Jaleel Skinner going at it in practice?
Oh, gee. Wow. Yeah. That's
I,
amazing. Let me put this
you know,
back on here.
yeah,
real
go,
quick.
go. Yeah.
Hang on. Let's see here.
Jaleel he's a mismatch. He's a mismatch. You flex him out there, you put him in the core, it don't matter. He's going to get it done. And same thing for
He's
Cyrus.
a wide receiver who's an entire body.
They are.
Look at that.
He's
He's
but still have all the great
with the strides.
Either, right? Greg Rousseau always comes.
It's going to be an exciting position to watch.
They're chowing down. They're about to get.
Man, to your point, Ray, I think he has the potential to be in the top 2 or 3 in the nation once he starts developing.
He's first round talent, Frank. First round.
Yeah.
Talent.
No.
First round talent.
Early first round.
Early first round talent.
Yep. Let's see what else we have here. So we all agree on him, and he could be the sleeper. I think even though he's touted, highly touted, he could be the #1 impact player coming in.
Al Blades is also going to give our secondary depth again this season. I've heard he's making a very strong comeback. So that depth in the secondary.
Oh yeah, Al Blades. You're right. You know what? I forgot about Al Blades, but he would be a senior, right? At this point?
I believe so.
Wow, that would be fantastic. Let me go ahead and play this here.
Browsing what we want for him.
Let's see what the final thoughts here on this. Let me put it back over here and hear what the coach had to say.
He chooses to be matched, so it means elite. It's the best of the best. It's out there. These young men, they watch. Parents have watched. And, they also know that we're ready to get to work.
Pretty important to you too. Oh.
He says, I'll talk about it another time.
Man, if one way we'll put it in words, hard to articulate.
One day, right?
One day.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us on National Signing Day. We appreciate it.
Now I want to bring up another screen for you here. Let's see here. Okay, this is about Alex Mirabal. Now, this is a shout out to Robert Shack, who wrote some really nice comments to us on our YouTube video on the last one, Ray, and I wanted to give him a shout out. And he wanted us to talk a little bit more about the hierarchy on the offensive line, since that's been a pain point. To his point, that's been a pain point of ours for a decade or longer. So, and to do that, I wanted to go ahead and talk about those 2 freshmen that he brought in the class, those offensive linemen, plus the guy that transferred from Oregon, who I think is another guy that may start at guard right away. Who's the guy who did the deadlift? Sapolo, I think it is.
I'm going to get the name right now. Hold on.
So I'm going to ask you, Ray, if you don't mind, I'm going to put this up here, a little information about Mirabal and his accolades, which are tremendous. The guy is a phenomenal offensive line coach, just one of the best.
Certainly is.
Yeah. With that, I'm going to ask you to pepper in there the staff changes on the offensive line. Okay, with the offensive line coach, and also the talent that Mario's bringing in, and maybe discuss a little bit for us, Ray, the difference in philosophy, in body type, and in strategy when it comes to what Mario's looking to do with the O-line. And there's also been a lot of talk, and I'm going to throw that out for you too, about the fact that we may be more focused on running the ball than we've been in the past. And it may be a run first type offense or saturated run offense. So I want you to hit all those points. So
Sure.
Go ahead and share with us, Weedy.
Well, just to touch on the offensive line, I think that, Coach Alex is going to bring another tenacity level to this offensive line that's been missing. No excuses. Best players are going to play, period. And I really like that. He's had a lot of experience. He was a longtime coach in South Florida high school. Then he went to FIU with Mario. Then he went to Marshall, and his teams, they had the best offensive line 2 or 3 years there in the conference. And then obviously went to Oregon, and, they've had great success. Mario's a winning coach, and Coach Mirabal has been with him all the way pretty much. So there's a nice tandem there, and they understand each other. And being both from South Florida, they have that confianza, they have that trust amongst each other, and they won't let each other down. And I like that type of accountability. With Coach Gaddis, I think that you're going to see a guy who can week to week, change it from a run heavy to a pass heavy to quite a nice balance of both. He showed as much against Ohio State, where Michigan was, their passing attack was strong. Obviously, their rushing attack is very strong, but they went really run heavy against Ohio State. And I think they ran for like 290 yards or 280 yards against Ohio State. Their running back had like 5 rushing touchdowns in that game. So I think that Coach Gaddis understands that you adapt your best players, your offense around your best players, and then week to week, you adapt to what you think you can take from the defense. If we have an advantage in the run game, he's probably going to take advantage of that. But with a quarterback like Tyler Van Dyke and the people we have at the skill positions on offense, we can do anything at any time. So I think it's going to be exploit weaknesses, get the ball in the best players' hands. Brashard Smith, Rooster, Don Chaney. I think that Keyshawn Smith's going to be a big contributor this year. I think Ladson's going to be a big contributor this year. Parrish, Travante Citizen. The tight end group is probably the strongest in the ACC and one of the strongest in the country. Has to be, even with Jaleel there with no experience, basically. He's going to play. He's going to make big plays. He just is. And then you have Will, and then you have Elijah. Frank, we got some real playmakers on offense. We haven't talked about Jacoby George much, although you did last time and you made some good points about him. I'm excited to see Brashard Smith. Again, this offensive football team is going to be a real deal to deal with week to week in the ACC. And our schedule sets up with 2 very difficult games, but the schedule sets up nice. And I think that by the time we get to August and early September, Coach Mirabal is going to have this offensive line. We're going to have 5 guys that are going to be set in their position with people who can rotate in and with injuries and people who get tired. I really believe that you're going to see our offensive line make less mistakes, less penalties. We've had a lot of penalties, Frank, and last year was a lot of penalties. So cut down on false starts. We cut down on shooting ourselves in the foot instead of putting ourselves in first and short, or putting ourselves in first and long a lot of times, or second and long. So I think that Gaddis, who means business, who's very experienced, Broyles Award winner this past season, is going to put together an offensive line and football team that's going to be able to strike from anywhere, quick strike, or we can wear you down with a 10, 12 play drive if we need to. And I would like to get your thoughts on that, because I'd be surprised if you didn't think that Gaddis is going to come in and make some type of difference right away, even in discipline, which we were a fairly undisciplined football team the last 2 seasons. And it was frustrating to see at times.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that there's also going to be a big difference on the O-line, in that the ideal offensive lineman for Manny's offense apparently was, quick-footed, not, brutally large, but able to move, able to pull and do and move. From what they're telling me and what I've been hearing about what Mario likes to do with these offensive linemen is he wants power. He wants to be able to just grade you down in the third or fourth quarter and just totally take you apart without sacrificing the ability to have quick feet and the ability, because his tackles and his guards will pull as well. So I think you're going to see these guys are going to be larger in body mass. They're going to be just as quick. They're basically going to be better athletes. And I think that's going to have a huge impact. And I think the type of running back that fits this kind of offense is, like you mentioned, Ray, when you said it, when you were talking about Citizen and you were talking about Chaney, those kind of big backs are SEC type backs where they can run over you, they can run around you, or they can run through you. Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's what he's going to be like. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that the Rooster is going to get a tremendous amount of carries, but he's going to be peppered in. And, who knows? He may be able to carry the entire load, because if you've got a good enough offensive line, he won't get hit by that first wave of defensive tackles and defensive linemen. He'll be into the secondary by the time he gets hit. So if you've got a good offensive line, you can get a smaller back that's quicker. They can spot the holes because he's good at recognizing the holes, cut and go, that type of back, and he's quick and fast. So he doesn't have any shots on him. But the way we were playing him last year, I got to be honest with you, Ray, I was really concerned that he wouldn't finish out the year, because we were running him between the tackles and our offensive line is not that great. And he took a beating. He really did. And he made some plays. But if your offensive line improves dramatically, you might be able to have the Rooster carry the load, even though I don't think that's going to be the case. I think what is it, Harper, the kid that we picked up from the portal?
For what position again?
Running back.
Oh, I'm talking about Parrish. And
Parrish, I'm
Avonte
sorry, I
Citizen.
don't know why I said Harper,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I think Parrish is ready to go. Plug in. It's gonna be hard to keep Parrish off the field. And the same thing with this kid Citizen when he walks in. And Cheney, I don't know if he's going to be 100%. He's going to miss the spring, from what I understand. I could be wrong. I don't think he's going to be active in the spring. So it would be down to the fall. And usually by fall, you've got all your positions already set. You've got your offense, your defense set. So it's really hard to make your way into the rotation when you're just showing up for fall practice.
Well, this is the kind of perfect scenario, and I'll tell you why. Because Cheney's he's got that killer instinct, and he's going to be tough to keep off the field, especially because of some seniority factor that he has. Here's the thing, though. We're starting over with a new offense. Everybody's starting over with an even playing field. It's not like you've been in the same offense for the third season now. So, look, I agree with you. I think all four of those top running backs are going to be vying for time. They're all probably going to get carries to some degree. Maybe some hierarchy will emerge. What that will be, we don't know, but it's going to be interesting to wait and see that. I wanted to get your thoughts on the turnover, the roster turnover that might occur during or at the end of spring ball. I was reading something today where someone was predicting we're probably going to see about an exodus of maybe 10 to 12 people off the roster. Because every time you have a coaching change, this kind of thing happens. And then, certain coaches don't like players that normally would have played under the previous regime, under the previous staff. So there's probably going to be an exodus of some players. There'll be some rank and file guys that might transfer that they just know they're not going to get playing time. What do you think about the roster turnover by the mid or end of spring ball?
Well, Ray, I agree with you. I think we're going to see 8 to 10 guys for all the reasons you listed and a few more. And I think a part of it is these guys, from what I see, their mental makeup is to dominate. And it kind of reminds me back to the old Michael Irvin days when he made the comment that the Saturday games were like a walkthrough because the weekly practices were so aggressive, so fierce, and so hard. They were hitting, and so that when they got to the game on Saturday, it was like a walkthrough. It was like a day off. It was for fun. The games were really easy. And I think and I think that what's happening now with this coaching staff, and you know this because you're an expert in this field, with the strength and conditioning, I think that's going to be what separates this team. And it could separate this team by a long way from every other team in the ACC, because, by the way, that's how Clemson did it. Clemson, their strength and conditioning program must have been phenomenal because they were wiping people out in the third and fourth quarter. It might be tight in the first quarter, second quarter, but they were dominating on that defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side. So to your point,
does help that they were recruiting near or at top of the nation in every position, and also had Brent Venables as the defensive coordinator. So it does help, not to take anything away from the S&C staff at Clemson, but having Brent Venables plus like a top 2 class every year does help.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So,
but now we're going to have that. We're going to have that.
And
we're going to have that.
To your point, I saw a notation about the transfer portal. They calculated the rankings of all the players that left the UM and transferred elsewhere, and the players that transferred in. We increased our score by almost 3 points. So the players coming in were higher recruited than the players that left. And as long as you've got that margin where you're winning on that side of the ball, then so be it. I want them to play and be able to do something somewhere else. They're good kids. They've all come to the U. We love them no matter where they go. But I think that these guys they really mean business. And they
on your talking point. On your talking point right now, we're talking about the coach that we added from Georgia, Jamil Aday.
Yes.
I want to give a quote of what Mario said about him, just to give you an idea of how strong this class finished and the potential for future recruiting cycles, because we closed, Mario and Miami closed on the class they did without this gentleman on our staff. Let me tell you what Coach Cristobal said about him, that he's a game changer for the staff, that his units rank among the nation's top performing units every year. He has championship experience. He's one of the nation's top recruiters, and he has fostered a culture of mental and physical toughness in the secondary at every stop of his career. Coach Aday is a tremendous addition to our program, and I know he will make his impact felt on our defensive identity. That's a strikingly endorsing comment for this coach. And we did all that recruiting as a program through Mario without this gentleman on our staff. And now with Roland Smith on the staff, I think it's going to be heyday for us. I think we're going to get a return of the creme de la creme in Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, and Broward counties. And we'll go out of state and pluck kids here and there like we're doing this year. I think Mario just can go into a room and close on everybody he wants to, basically. So with the NIL stuff going on and football kind of not being such a problem for some of the smaller schools. Miami is a private school, small private school. Can you imagine having to compete in a bag game, money game with Georgia, Alabama, LSU? I mean, all these big time schools have such huge coffers that they can take their boosters and funnel money here and there. But now Miami has a ton of money being influxed into the program. The season ticket sales will increase. They already have tremendously. Soon the prices will increase. The stadium is world class. Right now, we're hitting a tremendous pitch forward and momentum, Frank. I think soaring ahead of FSU and definitely ahead of Florida. And I just hope it translates to the field, because if it does, I think we're seeing the sleeping giant being awoken.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, Ray, I could talk to you for hours, but we're going to have to cut it and bring it to an end here.
Of course.
But before we do, I want to thank everybody for liking the video, sharing it, and hitting the alarm bell so you know when one comes on, but also for making comments. And to Robert, thank you for your comment. I want you guys to know that we do look at the comments. We will share with you any constructive comments that you have or questions that you have. Please feel free to put them in the comment section at the bottom. And again, go you. Don't forget to
Canes.
Like and subscribe. Go Canes. Ray, God bless you, man. Thank you again. And Ray, just a thought for the next video for next week.
Sure.
I want you to keep in mind what you were talking about with Reese and the NIL deals. I want to dive into that a little bit, because that is making a huge impact.
Yeah, I'll get as much information as I can so we can be as accurate as we can, so our viewers can get up to date on what he's doing, actually.
God bless you, my friend. God bless.
You too. Yeah.
We'll
Have a great
to you
night.
later.
Talk to you soon.